Hello, welcome. This is going to be a pretty short live stream. We're just going to do Backlash. We're just going to do a very quick preview of Backlash, and then maybe a couple of questions, maybe a little banter back and forth. We're going to be very busy tomorrow. I'm going to have probably 4 videos come up. So we, we're stuck with just Backlash here. I didn't want to do an extra long live stream today. I was actually feeling kind of tired. So Backlash is going to be from the Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri. As of right now, WrestleTix has it at 15,967 tickets distributed, with a little under 1,000 left, 9,984. So they sold about 90% of the building, about 95% of the building so far for Randy Orton versus John Cena. The last time John Cena will be in St. Louis, allegedly. Now, it's a pretty decent house. I don't know what that means for money rendered, but I'm hearing that the tickets were pretty expensive for Backlash, which is always the case now with WWE. Is all the tickets are always expensive. The WWE is a very hot ticket, a very expensive ticket, and I am not a fan of that expensive ticket. But we're stuck with what we're stuck with. And I am not a fan of that expensive ticket. Okay, I just wanted to make sure my audio was straight. Now, they got 5 matches booked, which is the usual number when it comes to WWE pay-per-views under the Triple H regime. Is usually he does a solid number of 5. This 5 match card is weak. It's not terrible, but it ain't great. You feel me? Like, it just kind of exists right now. And as I'm looking at things, I don't see Jey Uso versus Logan Paul. So let me make sure that's the actual card, because I'm seeing a 5 match card, but I don't see Jey Uso versus Logan Paul on the card. Is it not booked? Is it not official on the show? Because I don't see the point of having all the build for the match if you're not going to do it. Are they really going to push this back to the next event? How long could they possibly be feud? What's what they got going on here? So, all right. Anyway, there's some talk about individuals like Cody Rhodes making a return at Backlash. I mean, to do what? Except stare at Randy Orton or John Cena, probably John Cena, of course. But I'm not saying that Logan Paul versus Jey Uso. I know I'm skipping all over the place. I'm not saying that Logan Paul versus Jey Uso was like the most fantastic match ever. What I am saying is, I thought that match was on this show. Um, Tripp said it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. Oh, well, I 100% believe him. I believe him when he says it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. All right, so let's go through the 5 matches they have. John Cena versus Randy Orton, Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch, Pat McAfee versus Gunther, Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight versus Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre, and Dominic Mysterio versus Penta. This is an incredibly weak card. Extremely weak. And even adding Logan Paul versus Jey Uso wouldn't fix this thing. But Jesus Christ, those people paid, who knows, like, how much was the average ticket? Like $300 or something like that? And this is the match card that they're getting? I mean, yes, they're getting Cena and Orton, but those guys are 50. Sure, they're getting Becky Lynch, but she's got to wrestle Bird Girl. Yeah, you're getting Gunther, but he's wrestling a football player. I mean, Dominic Mysterio and Penta is awesome, but you've seen that on Raw already. And another fatal 4-way match that should be on the cutting room floor of WWE main event. Very weak card. Triple H ain't even trying anymore. They're stealing money from us. I've come to that conclusion. that WWE is stealing money from the fans. They're stealing money from Peacock. They're stealing money from Netflix. This is a highway robbery. We deserve better. Clearly, they're building up things more for Money in the Bank, which is a bigger show. That being said, who cares if it's a bigger show? Because this show should be important too. These people are paying to be in the building too. So these people should get a good show. You should get the best show you could possibly do within reason, of course. Within reason. They should give you the best show that you can. This big nose idiot has created this incredibly weak card. X9 says just fire Big Nose for doing an awful job bringing back everyone else. The problem is everyone else is under lawsuits and other types of strangleholds. There's nothing that you can do. You're stuck with this big nose idiot. That's why he's doing this stuff. Somebody bring Jerry Borash in. I mean, or at least get rid of Road Dogg. At least. All right, let's start with the breakdowns of this show. Gunther versus Pat McAfee. Singles match. Look, there's no chance in hell Pat McAfee wins. And not one that where Gunther keeps his job anyway. This needs to be completely one-sided. It needs to be as violent as possible, and it needs to be short. Gunther needs to absolutely ruin Pat McAfee and leave him a bloody mess. And then some superhero babyface comes in and helps Pat McAfee. Now, here is where a lot of people are expecting some kind of big surprise. I've seen people talk about Goldberg maybe coming in and helping Pat McAfee. You know, Goldberg used to play football and Pat McAfee used to play football. If they were playing that angle, that Gunther was one of few with former football players, that would make sense. If they were to replay or go back to the Gunther run in with in Bad Blood, that would make sense. I can't believe, but we're stuck with this. It needs to be completely one-sided, and Gunther needs to completely destroy this guy. Now, if it were me, actually, there are no superhero baby faces on Raw. Otherwise, I'd say, somebody, if Braun Breaker was still a baby face, I would say somebody like him should come in and help. But you don't have anybody like him anymore on Raw. Anybody with some size on Raw is either a jabroni and laughing stock, or they moved him to SmackDown already. So I'm not sure who could help him outside of you bringing in a legend to help out. But Gunther is going to win without a shadow of a doubt, without question. WWE TNA full says feels like it has almost zero connection to WrestleMania, even though it was just weeks away. There is two connections: Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria and Randy Orton and John Cena. Those are the only two things that are remotely connected to WrestleMania. And I guess that Dominic Mysterio and Penta, because Dominic Mysterio beat Penta to win the title, but he didn't beat Penta. He just won the match that Penta was in. And to be quite honest, I suppose Jacob Fatu and LA Knight had their thing at WrestleMania. So it doesn't feel like it's connected, but it is. On paper, it is connected. X9 says this is the time where AEW should do something, but they suck. You expect me to see TNA? Come on, blood. When it's a weak card like this, AEW should counter program. Even though their show should probably suck, but they should counter program. This is one of the times where they should have a collision. I get it. You don't want to compete with, John Cena's last time in St. Louis and he's wrestling in a championship match and all that. But Triple H can get away with this stuff because he knows that nobody's going to do anything and that they're going to run collision on a Thursday to get away from this. But Gunther is going to win. It's going to be really easy. They're probably going to make it artificially longer than it should be. Then there's going to be 45 minutes of commercials and stuff. Next, United States Championship, Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight. versus Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. I'm not gonna lie to you, Drew McIntyre shouldn't even be in this match. And Damian Priest, well, we're stuck with Damian Priest. I wish we had cool Damian Priest, but we don't. We got Underfaker Damian Priest. So we're stuck with this guy now. And LA Knight, boy, I don't think this guy's gonna be able to get out of this spot. I think he's stuck here, bros. Easily, Jacob Fatu is going to win. He should go on a Gunther-like run with this United States title and just destroy guys. I wish his first title defense was singles match. I wish his first title defense was against somebody good and interesting. I wish he was wrestling Drew McIntyre 1-on-1, if we're being honest. And I'm okay with, or he was wrestling Damian Priest 1-on-1. I think it would make more sense if that was the case. But this is Triple H's WWE, and they do a bunch of matches slammed together. WG Phil is still blocked somehow. I don't know how to unblock people, and I've been looking it up, and it has not worked. Everything I have tried. I even emailed YouTube about this, and they haven't responded. So, I mean, that sucks. I know it's somebody else that I blocked too by mistake. I'm still working on it. Anyway, Jacob Fatu is not going to lose. This match doesn't have any drama attached to it. I mean, it just smushed two feuds together, which is all a fatal four-way match ever is anyway. Is two matches, two feuds fused together, usually. So Jacob Fatu is going to win. There's no good reason for him to lose. He should be champion. Unless you're going to make him the world champion at some point in the future, he should be United States champion for the rest of the year. Unless you're going to do like a ladder match or something for him to lose it in. But he should have a run similar to Umaga. He should have a really great run here. Oh, WG Phil is going to Backlash. He's going to share pictures on the Discord. So everybody should join the Discord so that we can all be there together. It ought to be fun. Don't spend too much money on merchandise, though. I made that mistake when I went to SummerSlam. X9 says, I'm noticing that Juan's teeth in the pic has me more interested in the pay-per-view. All right. Next match, Dominic Mysterio versus Penta for the Intercontinental Championship. There's already talk about Penta and Phoenix being a tag team, which I think is a waste of time. I think they're both doing very well as singles acts, and leave them alone as singles acts right now. Penta has a lot of momentum right now. He's super over. He's selling a ton of merchandise. I don't think you should bother it. Don't rock the boat. I think you could do something simple here with him and Dominic. Obviously there's going to be a lot of Judgment Day nonsense, Judgment Day tomfoolery. I'm expecting Dominic to win because of the Judgment Day tomfoolery. Unless they do something slick and maybe have Finn Balor cost Dominic Mysterio the title, which they would never do, So I'm going to go with Dominic Mysterio winning the match and retaining the title. But this should be one of the better matches on the show. Dominic knows how to work his character, and Penta is incredibly charismatic. Both two charismatic guys. Penta's a little older, but he not a little. I think he's like 10 years older than Dominic. So he's got an experience edge, but he's new to this audience. And you want to keep Penta looking cool, so you want to keep Penta looking strong. So I expect there to be a lot of skullduggery, because WWE actually knows that beating guys flat, clean in the middle of the match, in the middle of the ring, doesn't do anything for them. So there's going to be a lot of skullduggery in this match, and I'm just kind of expecting that. WG Phil says, unfortunately, it is Cena's last year, so I got to make the most of his appearances nearby. Yeah, I mean, I saw him at WrestleMania when I went to see WrestleMania, so I've seen John Cena wrestle live. But I would have liked to have seen him again on his final tour. I don't know if they coming to Detroit or not. I haven't even looked. And plus the ticket sales, I mean the ticket costs have been absolute Mongo repellent. It has made me not want to watch anything after hearing how much they charge for tickets. What's next? Next, Becky Lynch versus the leader of Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Okay, this one's a little bit more interesting because I could see Becky losing in order to continue the feud, but I could see Becky winning also to continue the feud. It seems sensible to me that Becky would win this match. She's kind of been beat up on the promos. She's kind of been beat up in the brawls. They've gotten the fans a little bit behind Lyra Valkyria, but not substantially so. I think people still have a lot of faith in Becky Lynch. They're still calling her Becky Hogan. Speaking of which, she called him the scummiest man on earth. Yeah. After all I done for you. It's like, oh my goodness. Jeez. The Becky Hogan thing is pretty funny. That's hilarious. So I'm gonna go with Becky Lynch winning the title here. Lyra Valkyria has been champion since January. This is only like her third or fourth championship match. Becky's a huge star. Lyra is chasing Becky, or Becky grabbing the belt, defending it against some other baby faces. There's other baby faces on Raw for that Becky Lynch can tangle up with, while Bird Lady is in pursuit. And it's classic wrestling booking to have the babyface in the chase position. Lyra cannot do much with the title because they won't book her, right? But Becky Lynch got some stroke. She can really push for people and make some noise, especially for some of the call-ups that are apparently going to be happening, which is odd. Like, why didn't they bring in their call-ups on this show? Like, there's no women's world title match. EO is not on here. And the tag team title's obviously not on here either. So, and then there's no women's world title here. And then there's no Jey Uso here. Like, I don't understand the decision making on these shows. But it seems like they're gonna have John Cena or some of the lower tier B shows to boost those up. And again, because Money in the Bank is can kind of draw itself, you don't need Cena at that show. So maybe they won't have John Cena at Money in the Bank, and he'll skip that pay-per-view, and he'll do the next one. I don't know, but I'm trying to figure out how they're gonna make that make sense. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Becky Lynch wins the title, and you got the option of Becky Lynch wrestling some of the other baby faces on Monday Night Raw. The eventual return of Kyrie and Asuka, which has to be coming at some point. I don't know how much longer Asuka's going to be out, but I heard Kyrie is supposed to be coming back sometime soon. I heard that Kiana James is supposed to be coming back soon. And then you do have, who are the other female baby faces on Raw? For God's sake, who are they? Sheesh. I think that's it. I think they're the only two. I think they're the only two, right? Maxine Dupree. I mean, that's not really a match, though. They'll probably have to move some people over and call some people up. But Becky Lynch as the champion makes more sense. Now, John Cena versus Randy Orton is obvious on paper that Randy Orton is not winning the title. The question is how much skullduggery is going to happen at this event. Is Cena going to win the match clean? Is he obviously going to cheat? How much cheating will he do? Is it going to be like a run-in or something like that? ought to be interesting because Randy Orton was supposed to wrestle Kevin Owens, obviously at WrestleMania, and that didn't work out. So it's not like Kevin Owens is going to show up and cost Randy Orton this match. How do you get Randy Orton out of this and move him to the next level? You know, I'm not sure, and I don't even think it matters really with Randy Orton's age. Like, does it really matter if he's branched off with somebody else? Maybe it doesn't even matter. Maybe it's just Orton loses and that's how it is. But this match needs to be as basic as 1, 2, 3. The crowd is going to be hot because it's the final time they get to see John Cena, and Randy Orton's the hometown boy. They need to go out there and probably have themselves a good old fashioned Bruno Sammartino match where it's bear hugs and headlocks, and they don't try to do too much. Neither one of them are too interested in taking huge bumps. Neither one of them is too interested in going out there and doing too much in terms of hurting each other or hurting themselves. So, Cena's got, I think, has Peacemaker wrapped up yet? Because I saw he's wearing a helmet again. So I don't know if it's just starting the film or if it's wrapped. I'm not sure. But he's not going to go out there and get hurt. So he's probably going to work like Kevin Nash again. And Randy Orton's been working, I guess, the territories for the last 5 or 10 years. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But I'm expecting a John Cena victory here. And that ought to be pretty simple. X9 says, I never thought I'd live in a world where Juan's heel turn has been mid. I always envisioned that it would be, believe it or not. Believe it or not, I always envisioned that if John Cena ever did turn heel, it wouldn't be very good. But it's even worse than I thought now because so many people wanted it, and it's coming from an incredibly insincere place. It's not coming from a place of they have a story to tell. It's coming from a place of we needed something to juice up WrestleMania because we couldn't do it on our own. So we brought The Rock in, and then we did this, and now this is happening. Now this is a thing. I mean, it's unfair to everybody, but this is what they decided to do. X9 says Benjamin Shelton is from the greatest tag team world with Haas, Charlie, and Angle Kurt. You spell Kurt with a C these days, brother. Benjamin Shelton. That's a wonderful meme. I love that meme. I love the Benjamin Shelton meme, my guys. I don't know. He was very mad about. He's very mad at Hulk Hogan, man. He's super mad at Hulk Hogan. And Benjamin Shelton, he never wrestled Hulk Hogan, did he? I think they may have wrestled in a tag team match. Maybe. Did they work tags against each other or something? Because that might be the only time I can even imagine them two men in the same ring together. I can't imagine they actually had any real interactions outside of that. All right. So let's go back through this. I believe John Cena will defeat Randy Orton. They should have some kind of, I don't want to say a run in because they probably need to chill on the run ins. They need to have Cena cheat, but cheat in a satisfying way. And the match needs to happen without these guys killing each other. Hopefully, Arn Anderson is brought in to produce this match because Arn Anderson was the John Cena producer when he had his Superman run. I know Arn is very old. I think he's in his late 60s now. Maybe he doesn't want to travel. But it would be nice for Arn to be there with John Cena, to get him through this thing. Because I think Bobby Roode was the producer for the match with Cody Rhodes, and that ended up being an utter disaster. Utter disaster. I got Becky Lynch defeating the Bird Girl. this ought to be one of the better matches on the show from an in-ring perspective. People are typically into Becky Lynch as a performer. Bird Girl is going to end up getting pretty good reactions. At least I expect her to get good reactions. Maybe it's going to end up being a weird situation where the crowd just doesn't care about her. But they've been doing a decent job of trying to get some heat on her. And X9 likes the Bird Lady more than most people. I liked her. I liked her in NXT UK. I liked her in NXT. I think she's okay now, and she's starting to really come out of her shell. And they talked about this on Raw, and I actually think it wasn't bullshit. They are trying to get her to come out of her shell and talk more and be more open. She was so mysterious in like NXT UK and NXT or whatever. But I expect her to lose the belt because she's been champion for 5 months now, or 4 months. Gunther needs to brutalize Pat McAfee. It needs to not even really be competitive. If you can get Pat McAfee to get some color, it's definitely needed here. And then you need a Superman babyface to come in and help Pat McAfee. If it's Bill Goldberg, it ought to be interesting. I know people hate the idea of Goldberg and Gunther, but Goldberg needs to have a final opponent, and somebody like Gunther could really make it work. And it doesn't need to be that long, and it could be hard hitting and somewhat legitimate. So, and plus, they've already planted the seeds for that match. Jacob Fatu to defeat LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre. And I just think Jacob Fatu is going to be in for a much longer run than we think with this belt. I'm thinking he should probably be champion for the rest of the year, if we're being honest. I mean, he's up there in age, so you got to quickly establish him. There's no man in this match that's under the age of 35, though. Everybody in this match is over 35. If I remember correctly, Jacob is 40. And you can't, of course, Dominic is the youngest person in the entire situation here on this show. And I've been trying to tell people, they've been yelling at me when I talk about Becky Lynch's age. They've been yelling at me in the comments. I'm putting expiration dates on wrestlers and all that. It's like it's not just that. It's also who's the next person up? Who's the next people up? Like when Triple H is booking this way, everybody's fucking old on this show. Pat McAfee is literally a retired football player. This fucker is old. Even if he's not 50 or something like that, he's too old to play football. He's too old to be a punter for football. Like, and plus he's not a wrestler, period. So they need to add another match to this show. They really do. Just because we already know that Gunther and Pat McAfee is not a real match. So this needs to be 4 minutes at the most with Gunther pummeling this fucking guy. And then you need to add another match so that match can be a legitimate match on the show. Also, there's no tag team matches on the show. No tag team championships at all. Very bizarre. Very, very bizarre. And I got Dominic Mysterio defeating Penta with outside the ring shenanigans from Judgment Day, likely leading to the inevitable Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles match, which I am actually excited for. So that's Backlash. WG Field says, I was watching Autopsy last hours of Andre the Giant and Eddie Guerrero. Surprised they got the mullet and tights right for Eddie. Would you consider doing reviews of Autopsy of Celebs? I considered it, but it's maybe for the Saturday show, I would do an Autopsy of a Celebrity. I would do like it would have to be a celebrity I'm pretty sure I care about. But I don't know if I can get people to care about the things that I care about. And I've already watched the one on Andre the Giant. I just haven't done a review of it yet. It seems I was going to try to do one a month because I think Andre is the last wrestler they've done. So I already got the notes and stuff put to the side. So I just need to record the audio, and I think I did Owen Hart last month in April, late April. So I'm gonna do Andre the Giant later this month. Um, and then I'll be done with Autopsy, and I need to find something else. But I've been watching Bigger, Stronger, Faster, and I watched Prescription Thugs. Both documentaries feature pro wrestler Mad Dog Mike Bell, and I'm thinking about um, doing something on him. But it was weird because he- I looked up how he died, and he died from inhaling noxious fumes. He didn't die from like a drug overdose. But maybe they didn't know that when they made the documentary, or maybe they were trying to be fucked up. Uh, Lorenzo Granger says he's very happy Nikita Lyons is using it on TNA and WWE Evolve. Nikita Lyons match with Kendall Gray. I'm happy to see Nikita Lyons be used. You know what? Nikita Lyons just being on those shows has gotten people's attention. Like she got Evolve trending just from her doing what she does, which is being super extra and way over the top, super over the top. And people hate her so much that they give her so much attention that it actually tells people that they want to see her, which they don't understand. They're making a fatal mistake. There was almost nothing said about her match because she had a match with Kendall Gray on Evolve. I watched it just a few minutes ago, maybe like an hour or so ago, maybe a little bit more than an hour, maybe about 2 or 3 hours ago. And it was just a solid pro wrestling match, but she spams emotes at the early part of the match, and the way she talks and moves is very much transracial. And people online hate Nikita Lyons. They hate her with a passion. And because they hate her so much, she was trending over Dynamite. What she was doing was more important than what they were doing on Dynamite. And I think I tweeted about that because they were in the middle of one of those stupid 6-man tags as everybody's doing round robin Cirque du Soleil stuff. And Nikita Lyons is twerking and shadow boxing. And people are like, oh my God, she's twerking and shadow boxing on Tubi. It's like, why are you even watching that right now? Shouldn't you be watching Dynamite? You They made fun of everything she did. They made fun of her promos. They made fun of how she walked. They've been making fun of that girl for like 3 or 4 years now. And I see that she's trying, and she has a unique look and a unique presentation. If she calmed down some, she might be okay. She's a big girl. She needs to find a work style that benefits her. But I see big things for Nikita Lyons. I always have, but she's not a strong promo. And in ring isn't her strongest suit. Her strongest suit is her look and her presentation. It's just all about getting her personality together, which I don't know if they can do anything about that. Jacob is 33. Then why the hell did I get the idea that he was 41? He actually liked John Cena's real hometown 2-word life. Okay. Where did I get the idea that he was 41? I thought he did like yeah, where did I get the idea he was 41? I think I might have read that somewhere. He said, imagine those 20 somethings and Evolve wrestling each other every week. Well, that's what's been going on, man. Is those guys are in the early to mid 20s, and a lot of these people are wrestling each other. So they're starting to send down NXT talent like Lexis King and Nikita Lyons down there to work with them, and that seems to be a smart move. Is they're starting to look at the overflow of people on NXT and saying that people who they're not ready to call up, they're sending to Evolve, which is smart because they still get to continue their training. They still get to continue being on TV, but it's on an even smaller scale where they're even bigger stars. Because the people who come from NXT to Evolve are just like the mid carders who come from Raw or SmackDown to NXT. So it's just a little bit different. But they got Lexus King wrestling on Evolve next week. He's gonna wrestle Sean Legacy, who the internet really likes now because he's a spot monkey. But he can actually talk too, so it's not bad. You said he did one on Andy Kaufman. Oh, Andy Kaufman could be fun. Yeah, if we fold in his wrestling career, I could do one on Andy Kaufman. I should probably put it in my calendar because if I write it down, I'm probably still gonna forget it. Shit, I ain't got no paper. Where's my papers? Rats. Oh shit, I forgot I watched that documentary on American Gladiators too. I forgot about that. I watch documentaries all the time that are like wrestling adjacent. I watched that Dark Side of the Ring on Billy Jack Haynes too, but I haven't recorded the audio for it. I did the research. I actually did half research for Billy Jack Haynes because his student interviews are 90% bullshit. So I'm not about to sit there and listen to like 400 and then 99% of it is trash. He said hopefully Zilla Fatu gets called up soon. Bro's gonna be to it. I just found out he was on parole. So that's probably why he hasn't been signed anywhere yet. But I think he's paid up his parole. That's the video I've seen. So I think once that's over with, he can he probably be brought into WWE and brought to NXT soon too. But also he kind of got an attitude problem from what I heard. You say you watched one on Easy, the possible death of sleeping with a woman who unknowingly had AIDS from his crack deal selling days, or was using his own supply. He had bronchitis, which exacerbated the HIV. Interesting. I didn't know that. That's really interesting. I should probably watch that one on him. WG Fields said apparently Nikita was pretty decent in the ring and WoW in the Indies. She just ballooned in weight to be thick. She actually was worse when I watched her in WoW because they actually basically just she was skinnier. That much is true. She was in better shape, but they didn't have her wrestle a whole lot in WoW. But she was more of a personality. She did wrestle, but her matches weren't very long. It's not like she got in there and was doing a whole lot. And plus, WoW is a different presentation of pro wrestling, which is likely why her character is the way that it is because she developed it in WoW, where it's far more theatrical than even WWE. So but it's also kind of an extension of who she is, but she's very transracial. Extremely transracial. AJ3 says, what is your best Backlash show? Do you want to watch along next time? My favorite Backlash? Oh. I don't know. Backlash has always been a B pay-per-view to me. It's always not been very important. There's been some good ones though. Well, there's been some good matches at the Backlash. Probably my favorite Backlash. I can't think of one. I can't think of well, maybe Puerto Rico, because from top to bottom, it was one of the better Backlash shows. But I don't know if I want to watch another one. Kiara McMahon says, I don't mind Cena wins or Orton wins because both my children real heroes were life. Your child's hero is John freaking Cena? Evil John Cena? So I'm looking forward to Nikita Lyons breaking the internet every time they decide to do something with her. They really want to make people mad. She should win a title. And I was thinking maybe she should be the first women's Evolve champion. And just for the lows, because they also hate Lexus King too. And that's also somebody that they brought down to NXT. I mean, down to Evolve, which is really funny because the two people that the AEW fans and the people more likely to watch everything, the two people they hate in NXT more than anything is Alexis King and Nikita Lyons. And then brought them both to Evolve. ah, it's great. I know people are very weirded out by Evolve because a lot of the fired guys are still there, like Javier Bernal, who is wearing like fingernail polish now, and he looks very much like a sissy. And he's still on the show, and everybody's like, why is he there? You don't realize that these shows were taping like bulk. So, Gallus is still on the show. Danny Palmer's still there. A bunch of people that they fired from Evolve are still there. All right. Anything else, or so we can wrap this thing up? You said John Cena was right about Nikki Bella. Oh, you said John Cena was woke on Nikki Bella, huh? Ah, I don't know, man. She seemed to be really into him. He just wasn't that into her. You said I heard about that Javon Evans thing. Oh my God, we're talking about that tomorrow. I needed more time to really get together on that one. There's not much to say because it is what it is. But man, it was funny as shit. There were so many funny things that came out today. That's why I got so many videos coming out tomorrow, because there were so many funny things, from Coach saying that Bailey was boring and washed to the Javon Evans and Ricochet situation. Uh, Dave Meltzer actually trying to chin check Will Ospreay for how he dresses. There's just so many things that happened today that I want to get to. I'll just get them to them tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a full Friday. I want to have 4 videos tomorrow. I still got 1 to record, and I may just push the Billy Jack Haynes video till Monday. So, but anyway, thanks everybody for stopping by. I'm probably going to make nachos for Backlash because I had a hankering for some nachos. I've been thinking about nachos for like a week now. I also been thinking about pizza for pretty long too. But I think I'm gonna do nachos. WG Phil says this whole run of Cena got him to turn heel, got a transplant. Now he's next. He's having children. He should be. I don't think he's gonna end up having kids. I think he's pretty serious about that. Unless his wife wants to have kids, he probably won't have any. I think he was pretty serious about that not having kids thing. Yeah, I think it's easier to leave these women when you're not when you don't got kids. And he might want to trade in this broad he got now for a new woman. It's gonna be hard if he got kids. Well, it's gonna be more difficult. Let's not say. Let's not use the word hard. You know what else? All my homies hate Big Nose. You know what? Just as I was about to wrap this thing up, I thought about something. I want to address this. My dude Kanye West made a Hitler song. Now, I already said I wasn't listening to Kanye West no more after I heard about this whole penis sucking thing. You know, typically, once people start talking about sucking penises, and if it ain't about sucking mine, I'm really not interested in this conversation. So when I'm listening to males talk about sucking penis, I'm really not interested, and I kind of mentally checked out. And then I heard that he was so brazen that he made a Heil Hitler song, and I'm thinking, my God, never. Why would you do that? Why would you do that of all things? Like, it's so incredibly disrespectful that I just had to hear it. So I went and listened to the Heil Hitler song. It got nothing to do with Hitler. It's literally got nothing to do with Hitler. It's been banned from everything. It got banned from SoundCloud. It got kicked off of other sorts of DSPs. I mean, he's really, really pushing it. with this Heil Hitler stuff. But the point of the song is that people care more about what he says than about what he's saying. Like that's the point. Um, is he's talking about how he hasn't been able to see his children. They've been keeping his children away from him. And people are not trying to help him with that, nor do they care. But if he starts talking about Heil Hitler and all that, he gets a lot of attention. Now people are listening when you start saying like Heil Hitler or Hitler is great or whatever. Now people are listening. But when you're talking about, hey, I need to be able to see my children, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody cares about that. And I think that's a very interesting position. But still, you make a Hitler song, that's just nuts. It's so brazen, it's so disrespectful. And just like, my goodness. And then he got a video where all the black dudes are standing around Highland Hitler. They're not doing the arm thing, but they're mouthing the words Hail Hitler, Heil Hitler. And you're like, geez Louise, Kanye? Like, Kanye, damn. What is going on in your brain of yours? But he's just trying to bring, attention to his own struggle. But this ain't the way you do it. I don't think this is the right way to do it. I don't think it's the right way to go about it. I'm surprised they haven't tried to put him under some kind of conservatorship or something like that yet. Much like they did with Britney Spears. Like he's really pushing the the artistic element of it. Like he's an artist. Everybody knows that. But he's really pushing it. The song ain't got nothing to do with Jews. The song ain't got nothing to do with anything. In fact, he says in the song that they see my Twitter, but they don't listen to when I need to see my children or something like that. So he says, "Fuck it, I'm the villain." Like since I can't see my kids, I might as well just be as bad as possible. And it's really just digging more of a hole for himself. But my goodness, I was I shouldn't have listened to that song. It's not like it's not like the song is a Nazi song, but man, it's kind of catchy. So it's like it's got like a jingle in your head. That's not like the right kind of shit you want in your brain. Trust me. I don't want that kind of stuff in my head. You know. That's why you got to be careful about the kind of things that you ingest, not just in your mouth, also through your ears and nose. Because I listened to that song and it's been stuck in my head ever since. It's not necessarily a good thing. I can tell you that. WG Phil says he watched Man on the Moon. He's surprised the movie got cast for Taxi 10 years later to reprise their roles, especially Jerry Lawler. Well, Jerry Lawler, I'm pretty sure, was thrilled about doing the movie. I'm pretty sure he thought that was fantastic. Well, he was because he was wrestling at the time. I mean, he was on Raw at the time doing commentary and stuff. So he thought that was great. But Man on the Moon is a really good movie. It's a really good movie. It's a fun movie. All right, y'all. Peace out. Thank you guys for stopping by. I appreciate you. What am I doing?